Are you stuck at a band 6 in your IELTS speaking test? It feels like hitting a wall, right? It's super common, but I promise you it's not a wall, it's just a hurdle. In this explainer, we are going to crack the code on how to leap right over that hurdle, giving you the exact strategies to push into that band 7 score, and maybe even higher.
This right here, this is the most important mindset shift you need to make. Getting a high score isn't some magic trick. It really is all about training. So I want you to think of your fluency like a muscle. You don't get strong from one epic workout, right? No, you build it up consistently, day after day. So let's get into the training.
Does this feel a little too familiar? You've practiced, you know the test format inside and out, but that score just will not budge. You are not alone. This is exactly where so many test takers get stuck. But you know what? The reason is often pretty simple. You're focusing on the wrong things. So let's fix that starting right now.
All right, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the all-important Band 7 Plus mindset. Then we'll dive into specific strategies for parts 1, 2, and 3. And we'll wrap it all up with a practical, step-by-step upgrade plan you can start today.
Okay, first things first, and this is the biggest shift you have to make. If you want to break into that Band 7 Plus range, you have to stop chasing perfection. Instead, start focusing on just one thing: clear, effective communication. That's the real key.
Just look at the contrast here. It's like night and day. A Band 6 candidate is often so terrified of making one little grammar mistake that their answers are short, they're hesitant. But a Band 7 Plus speaker, they prioritize natural, flowing speech. They give longer, more detailed answers and just speak authentically because they know that clear communication is way more important to the examiner than some kind of robotic perfection.
So how does this whole mindset actually play out in the test itself? Well, let's start with part 1, the interview. Think of these as warm-up questions, and they are your very first chance to make a fantastic impression.
Okay, so imagine the examiner asks you this. The classic Band 6 response is something like, "Yes, I like reading very much." I mean, it's correct, sure, but it's a dead end. It doesn't go anywhere. Let's see how we can open that door and give a much better answer.
The secret is a super simple 3-step formula. It's so easy. First, you answer the question directly. Second, you add a little detail or a reason why. And third, you finish it off with one extra comment. This simple structure guarantees that you extend your answer naturally, every single time.
Let's see that formula in action. So, the direct answer? Yes, I really enjoy reading. Simple. The detail and the reason? I usually read novels, especially historical ones, because they help me relax and learn at the same time. See how that simple structure completely transforms a basic one-sentence answer into a fluent, interesting, and communicative response?
All right, once you're all warmed up from part 1, it is time for part 2, the cue card. Now, the challenge here is a little different. You get just 1 minute to prepare, and then you have to talk for up to 2 minutes. This is where they test your ability to organize your thoughts and speak for a longer period.
So let's say this is the topic you get. The pressure's on, that clock starts ticking. What's the plan? The absolute biggest mistake people make is they panic and try to write out full sentences. No, no, no. There is a much, much better way. Instead, you're going to use those 60 seconds to just jot down a few simple keywords. Think of these as your roadmap for your story. Birthday dinner, Italian restaurant, delicious pasta. See? They're not a script. They're just little signposts to guide you, which lets you speak way more naturally and with a lot more confidence. Now, to structure your talk, I want you to think like a storyteller. You start with a quick intro. Then you use your keywords to paint a picture with all the details. Then you walk the examiner through the story, what actually happened. And here's the real secret to a high-scoring answer. Always end with how you felt. That personal touch is what makes your story memorable.
So, after telling your personal story in part 2, the test kind of zooms out for part 3, the discussion. Here, the examiner is going to ask broader, more abstract questions that are related to your topic. This is where they test your ability to handle more complex ideas.
The questions in part 3 are going to be linked to your part 2 topic. So, after talking about a special meal, the examiner might ask about food and society. Or they might pivot to something even bigger, like this. This requires more than just a story. It requires a really well-structured opinion.
The best way to handle these big questions is with a clear 4-part structure. Think of it like you're building a mini argument right there on the spot. You state your opinion, you explain why you think that, you give a solid example, and then you offer a final thought to wrap it all up.
So here's what that actually sounds like. The examiner asks about technology. You state your opinion clearly. Yes, definitely. Technology has fundamentally changed how we communicate. You give your reason. People now rely so heavily on their smartphones for daily interaction. Then, your example. For instance, many young people prefer sending instant messages to actually calling someone. And you conclude with a bit of nuance. However, I do think this sometimes reduces the quality of our personal interaction. See? That is a perfect, well-rounded, high-scoring answer.
We have covered the mindset. We've covered the strategies for each part of the test. Now, let's turn all this knowledge into action with a concrete score upgrade plan.
Think of these phrases as your toolkit for staying fluent when things get tricky. Forgetting a word or needing a second to think happens to absolutely everyone, even native speakers. Using a phrase like, "That's an interesting question," shows you're engaged, not stuck. And please, don't be afraid to correct a mistake. Saying, "Sorry, what I meant was," actually shows confidence and command of the language, which is a really high-level skill.
And finally, here is your weekly plan to build that fluency muscle we talked about. Consistency is everything. Seriously, just 10 to 15 minutes of speaking out loud every day makes a massive difference. Record yourself once a week so you can hear your progress. And the ultimate goal? To start thinking directly in English, cutting out that little hesitation that comes from translating in your head. That right there is the path to true fluency.
Let's end exactly where we began. This test is not about having perfect grammar. It's about effective communication. So stop chasing perfection. Use these strategies to express your ideas clearly, confidently, and naturally. That is what will earn you a Band 7.
You have the strategies. You have the plan. The only question left is, are you ready to build your fluency muscle?